Welcome to the Born for Greatness podcast. I am so excited to have a very special friend on today, Carrianne Bernatis. Hi, Carrianne.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been so excited about this podcast.
Oh, same here. We've been talking about it for a hot sec, so it's really good that we got it together. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so interesting because we haven't known each other that long, but I feel
Right.
like we have known each other for a while.
I feel the same.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, we bonded over similar backgrounds, which is always helpful. And this is
Yes,
why it's so great to be able to talk to people and in our industry or at work as a whole, you never know who you're going to meet. You never know what people's backgrounds are like. And it's just great when you can make a connection. So this is exciting.
absolutely. Yeah, I've learned that wholeheartedly. As I'm sure we'll get into here shortly, I've had a big transition in my life over the past 18 months or
Yes.
so, and I have never learned that more, which is people are there, never judge a book by its cover, never ring truer.
So
Yes.
true. So let's start. Can you just tell the listeners a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Carrianne, and I reside in Texas, the San Antonio area, New Braunfels, if you're familiar. And I have a background in music education. So I have 22 years in the Texas public schools. Yeah, it's a long time. But 22 years in the Texas public schools teaching elementary general music and middle school choir. And so as I
Awesome.
already teased, I've had a transition in the past
Mhm.
couple of years, and I am now working at NCD, which is an independent dental, vision, and accident insurance company.
Amazing.
Big switch.
Okay. All right. I don't even know where to start because I have so many questions,
Yeah.
but let's just dive right into it, right?
Yep.
So tell us, because I think there's a lot of people, and I changed careers. I guess I have to think for a minute. At the end of my
Yep.
30s, right after being in the real estate world for
Mhm.
over a decade, it was a very odd transition to then go into health insurance and very scary. At least for me, I was very knowledgeable in my career in real estate. I learned under one of the best in the industry, in the commercial development space. And so to come into a new industry and all of a sudden be like the little fish and know nothing
Yes,
was
ma'am.
so scary and
That's a
so
big one.
intimidating. Right. So,
Yep.
first off, tell us like what made you want to transition and how did you fall into health insurance or, ancillary
Yep.
benefits?
Exactly. So again, I said 22 years in public education, but as anybody knows, any teacher or musician, I started much earlier than that. So by the age of
Mhm.
16, I had a full private piano and voice studio. And that's how I got myself
Yeah.
through high school and college. And so that was my job. So when I say my teaching career is not just 22 years old, it is
Mm,
much older than that. And so by the
amazing.
age of 16, I started that. And I always knew that I was a good educator and I loved it. And it was my passion and it was easy. Not, sorry, I shouldn't say easy. I found it easy to just want to excel and exceed. And I just had these goals for myself. And fast forward many years and COVID hits. And I know a lot of
Mm,
us are kind of tired of like blaming things on COVID, and I'm not blaming it on COVID. But what I am here to say is that's kind of what started getting me thinking this may not be for me anymore. I might not be able to make it to my pension. I might not be,
mm,
I don't think I can finish this out. And
mm,
because I saw what teaching was like pre-COVID, and
hmm.
post-COVID, it was just a 180. And it was hard.
Yeah.
COVID teach. So just imagine teaching choir, teaching elementary music virtually. And at the time,
Oof.
being in the Austin area and in those districts, kids were not required to have their cameras on. Everything, a lot of it was asynchronous, meaning that you as the teacher would record your lessons, and then the kids could just kind of do them whenever they felt like it. And so
Mm,
trying to
that's tough.
keep track of all that was really tough. And then when we all came back, and I don't know if you've heard of the hybrid teaching, but that's what
Yes.
the couple of years after COVID teaching, we all called hybrid teaching, meaning parents got to choose if their kids came back to the classroom in person or if they stayed at home online. Well, what that meant was I, or any of the teachers, we had to now create two sets of lesson plans every single day. And that was hard.
Mm.
And some
Yeah.
teachers had to actually like have their cameras on and teach the in-person kids while teaching the home kids simultaneously.
Right.
And it just got old. And then having to sanitize your classroom 6 times a day. And
Mm.
anyway, I digress. All of that was
Oh,
just really
good.
taxing. And not to
Yeah.
mention the parents got an inside view into our classrooms. And
Mm.
about the third time that I got posted on social media without my permission, I started thinking, I think I might be needed elsewhere. And
Oh.
that's where, I know I'm kind of rambling here, but that's kind of where it
No,
went.
you're good.
Um, so I just started thinking, what if this isn't the end for me? What if I do have other transferable skills that I've learned along the way? I've learned through
Mhm.
all this tremendous teaching career that I had. Just like you, I was incredibly knowledgeable in the industry. I had, student teachers every year and a full flock of my little ducklings that I would watch,
Yeah.
excel in their careers, which I still watch, and I'm so proud of them. I'm old enough that I have students from my early years of teaching who are now either teachers on their own. I've got a kid on Broadway. I've got a kid that sings at the San Francisco Opera. Like you follow these
Oh,
kids, you're like, I think I had a
wow.
hand in that. And you think it's
Yeah.
wonderful, but then yeah, some things like post-COVID teaching get you thinking like maybe this isn't where I'm going to end up. Maybe I'm needed elsewhere.
That's so interesting because we have talked over and over about the effect of COVID on our children and their learning. Very rarely did they talk about the effect it had on the educators. So that was really interesting because I have not heard that side really at all. So it's so true. It was tough on everybody, but certainly
Yes.
those in the education world, it was extremely tough. So
Yeah, the responsibilities changed a lot once the
mm,
couple of years of hybrid teaching, and then uh, I suppose you could say we're back to normal at this point. We will
yeah,
never get back to where it was. The bar just
yeah.
moved, and so now normal it's a new normal, and that new
Mhm.
normal is something that um, I challenge you to ask any teacher who's been in the business more than 20 years if they don't feel the same way, which is they've seen it the other way.
Mhm.
Now they're being told they've got to teach this certain way, which expectations are lowered constantly. Pressures are
Yep.
put on just more and more and more. The no child left behind, the testing. And then
Mhm.
here in Texas, the tragedy in Uvalde really changed a lot of
Mhm.
things for all teachers across the state of Texas. Um, Horrific tragedy. But what that also did was all these new safety measures were put on all the teachers in Texas. And honestly, it makes the day hard. I know people don't
Yeah.
think about that, but when your doors have to remain locked 24/7, it makes it hard to just kind of go about your day, kids going in and out, teachers going in and out. And
Such a good point.
it was hard.
Yeah,
Um,
it's not something we think about when we're not in it day to day. We don't think about all those little nuances and things that
we
have to be
don't.
dealt with. So that's such a good point. Okay, so you decide I've got some transferable skills. I'm gonna leave the teaching world behind. How the heck do you start and figure out what to do next?
Yep. So that question right there got me hung up for a while. I didn't even know what to do. So I was
Mm,
teaching elementary for a couple years after
yep.
COVID. And what I did was I just started getting on social media, frankly, and putting in
Mm.
things like, how do I get out of the classroom? Like just typing that in.
Right.
And all these things
It's
would
really
pop up.
smart.
You have no idea until you ask, right? You don't know what you don't know.
Mhm.
And so all of a sudden, I had no idea there were whole communities
Mhm.
on Instagram, on TikTok, on Facebook already. People were already asking these questions. Get me the hell out of here. How do I do this?
Yeah.
So I ran across a couple channels, and one in particular that I really started to lean on. It's called the Teacher Career Coach course. Say that 6 times fast. The Teacher
Mm.
Career Coach course.
Wow,
So I
that's a
just started,
mouthful.
yeah, I started ingesting that free material on social media. And of course, so anything free, there's always gonna be a paid version, right? And I thought,
Of
no, I can do
course.
this with the free stuff. You know what? One night I just came home so exhausted and I thought, nope, I'm gonna do it. And I went ahead and I purchased their course. Um,
Hmm.
and the first thing it said was try something else in education. So like where you are, try to pivot somewhere else. And so that's what I did. I applied for a middle school job. And I thought,
Okay.
okay, maybe elementary just isn't it for me. Maybe these needy
Hmm.
kids who've been at home for 3 years, I can't handle
Yeah.
it more. And so I went to middle school, loved it, loved it. But then, as I already said
Mm.
previously, I got posted on social media several times without my permission. And a lot of that was due to the parents encouraging their children to try to catch the teachers in situations where they could like get,
Uh,
and that happened a couple
yeah.
times. And I'm probably not the only one. And I just thought, wow, I don't feel safe in my own environment anymore. So I
Yeah.
took it
It's
a
fair.
step further and I went on with this course. And it's a full, this particular, there are many courses out there for transitioning teachers into another field. But this particular course has a full 12-month calendar. Follow this and you'll get out. And I did. I followed it to a T.
Wow.
And the next step was networking and just asking,
Mm.
ask your teacher friends what their spouses do. Guess what? That's
Yeah.
what happened. I remember vividly.
Interesting.
Yep. My cohort across the hallway from me, her husband ran an Allstate business and he was looking for a new
Interesting.
producer. And she and I went to dinner one night. We were both
Hmm.
exhausted. You know, I don't know if you've ever seen a teacher after a December, like the mid-semester, right? We're all like,
Right.
eyelashes are falling off. And we're sitting there just, you know, eating dinner. And we both of us at the same time actually signed up for a Kaplan course, a study course. Before you know it, I'd gotten my licenses. I got my PNC and then I got my life and health. And I actually,
Amazing.
I made it. At spring break, March,
Hmm.
I resigned. And
Wow.
never, it was a conversation that I never had words and never thought would come out of my mouth. That I was going to
Hmm.
quit, leave this career that had fed me. So my family's all educators as well. So
Okay.
my parents, my step
Oh,
parents, I mean,
wow.
complete family of educators. So for me to musicians as well. So for me to leave music education was all my
Mm.
parents were like, "What are we
What are
doing?"
you doing?
Yeah. And so
Exactly.
anyway, yeah, I did. And I went and I sold PNC for the from May to August. It was the first summer in my life I'd ever worked. It
Oh
was,
my gosh.
yep, I know. It's the first, I know. And I know a lot of people out there are going, oh my God, princess. But no, no.
Yeah.
No, people who say, oh, teachers are fine, they get their summers off. You go put on a teacher's shoes for, I challenge you for a full 5-day week in December, no less. But even just for a day, I challenge you. And then you're going to want your son
Yeah.
to.
Right. It's so true. It's so easy for us to judge. And again, kind of talking about judging a book by its, or not judging a book by its cover, but
Yeah.
that's in like all things. Like we see what somebody else has and we think, oh, it's either easy or better than what we have. And you just don't know what goes on behind closed doors. You just don't know. That's why I'm always saying like be kind because you don't know what somebody's day's been like. All of that is you're unaware of. So uh, that is very interesting. So, okay, so now you're doing PNC, and what did you think of it?
Whew, was not for me. Yeah. So I have found, I mean, you work in this industry as well. What I have found
Mhm.
are there's some funny little sayings about how nobody like dreams of being an insurance agent when they're 4 years
Yes.
old. I can't wait to, and so everyone falls into it in a quirky way, which is exactly what happened to me as
Mhm.
well. But following along that program, that teacher career coach program, it flat out said, get your LinkedIn ready and start networking. And so I was just following that. And I was like, well, I don't know how to sell somebody home and auto insurance, but it is a way for me to realize this dream of stepping out of the
Yeah.
classroom. And who knows what's going to go from there. So I certainly did it, and I tried my hardest. It wasn't for me. And my friend's husband and I discussed it, and it just wasn't for me. But along the lines, I met someone at NCD who just so happened to be the dad of one of my former students.
Oh, wow.
And so
Look
there's
at
network.
that.
Yep. So I cannot
Hmm.
stress, and this goes for any, whether you're education or just trying to get out of it or just trying to make a switch in general, cannot
Hmm.
stress the importance of networking. Because along in that
Yes.
course, it said also start asking, or it advised, start asking your colleagues what their spouses do and start
Hmm.
asking your students what their parents do. Because you're going to have a lot of
Mm.
parent chaperones, you're going to have a lot of parent teacher nights.
Yep.
Not ask them, what do they do? So at least
Hmm.
you'll know, and this just goes for anybody who's looking for a transition. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know what careers are out there. There's
So
things
true.
out, you never know. And you don't know what skills you
Hmm.
already have that will transfer into that new opportunity.
That's so true.
Yeah.
It's wild. I think especially skill wise, it's intimidating to apply for something or to go after something if you feel like I don't have the skills on paper. Where I always think hiring mothers is so interesting because as mothers, like we are master negotiators. Like the things you learn right from just being a mom or being a dad that you can bring into the workforce.
Yeah.
You have I say all that to say you have a lot more in your back pocket than you realize. And if you can just, work towards something, like you said, network with people, it's amazing the doors that will open. So that's really encouraging to hear. Um, Clearly, you're an extrovert, so networking doesn't seem like it's probably too hard.
Like,
But uh, but I think too, for introverts who are listening and are like, "Oh my gosh, well that's great for her, but I couldn't because I'm an introvert." How did social media and using social media going on LinkedIn help? I mean, that's not in person, so it's a little less intimidating.
true. Yeah. And that's a great point to bring up because not everybody can just walk up to somebody and randomly like, hey, my name's Carrianne. Who are you? Which I'm really
Right.
completely comfortable with. But
Right.
some people are not, obviously.
Yeah.
I would say there's a little bit of you got to challenge yourself. You don't need to just walk up to random strangers in the middle of the room. I get it.
Hmm.
I dare say maybe I think introverts like to quietly take in information and process on their own. So yeah,
Hmm.
stalk people on LinkedIn. There are a lot of good accounts on LinkedIn for transitioning. It's specifically for transitioning teachers, but I'm quite sure there's other accounts for transitioning anybody's. I realize not every
Yeah.
your podcast right now is a teacher trying to get,
Hmm.
but
Right.
what I've learned, because like I said, when I first started this, I would literally just went to Google and I was like, well, what do I do? Just like typing it in,
Right.
sitting. There's actually a podcast out there called Crying in My Car. And that's actually where it started because it's a
Oh,
former
that's too
teacher turned
funny.
comedian in Florida who he started this podcast. He was a high school teacher in Florida for many years. And I just started listening to that podcast. And it was literally, I was like, I relate, I relate, I relate. I was literally sitting in my car one afternoon after a really tough day, crying in my car.
Hmm.
And that's what I was like, what
Yep.
do I do? But then you realize, oh wow, there's communities, online communities. So yeah,
Hmm.
you're not right in the introverts, you're not right in the center of everybody. You can just kind of be a voyeur and watch until you're comfortable. You might see a conversation go down with some comments where you might get the courage up to just maybe message one person and say, hey, can I DM you? You never know what conversation is going to spark from that.
Hmm.
If you want to keep it safe and keep it small, you can absolutely do that. I do want to say though that if you don't ever make a move, if you don't ever leap, if you don't ever take a risk, as in you might just have to pick up the phone or you might have to walk across, I say the hallway, just I'm thinking teaching, but whatever that means,
Yeah.
and say, hey, what does your spouse do for a living? Opportunities might not super open. But you also don't have to like just walk into the middle of 100-person room and be like, who's got a job?
That's,
There are quieter
that's
ways that you
so
can go
true.
about that.
Oh, that's amazing. I can see it too. That's awesome.
Who's hiring?
Pick me, please.
Yeah.
Um, that's awesome.
But
So,
also there are there are other ways. Like I said, when I did enroll in that course, you choose, you pick and choose what makes sense
yeah.
to you, speaks to you. What spoke to me was I got my LinkedIn all prettied up and then I started networking.
Hmm.
Well, I have no doubt there were many other ways to hit because as teachers, we know we have to diversify our learning and our what we're giving because
Right.
everyone learns differently. I have no doubt there was stuff in there introverts. I just didn't listen to it. So I'm sure it's there.
That's awesome. So let's talk about, okay, so now you have started in a new career and you're the little fish. How
Oh,
did you
girl.
handle that?
That is a loaded question.
I
Um,
know.
yeah, you couldn't have said it better, frankly. When I ended my career, I was on top. I was, lead teacher, and anyway, all of those things. I was incredibly
Mhm.
knowledgeable. Um, it was hard because I knew going in I was gonna be on the I don't want to say bottom again, just bottom level of learning. My knowledge was
Yes.
baby level, and that's
Hmm.
hard. There's some pride that gets in the way. There's some
Yes.
knowledge that, and I'm going to bring up age, and I know, and I've had this conversation with some of the people at NCD at my company where quit talking about age. Well, good for
Hmm.
you. When and you and I have spoken about this a little bit.
Yeah.
There's a different mindset when you are on this side of middle age. Uh,
Mm,
I'm no longer
so
in my
true.
20s and in my 30s, and I think there's a bit of invincibility when you are that age. Like you just don't,
Mm.
your skin is still sweet and supple, and you don't have wrinkles, wear as much makeup, and it's fine. But when you're
Right.
literally you wake up and your body kind of you can tell that you're older.
Hmm.
Um,
So true.
right? And there's many things that go into that. And I know my answer is getting longer than but whatever.
You're
Um,
good.
what goes into that is, wow, I spent half my life, literally half my life learning, perfecting, excelling, becoming an expert
Hmm.
in this thing. But I got so burnt out that I wasn't, I was giving my best self to other people's children, and I would come
Mm.
home and be a wreck for my own people. And that's
Yeah.
probably what the crux of it was in the end. But then,
Yeah.
so fine, you make the leap. I'm going to take all of that I just did. I'm going to throw it in a dumpster fire, set it on fire, and spit it on it and walk away. Like that's what I chose
Yeah.
to do. And I think you have to come to this mindset of, I made this choice. What's
Hmm.
cool though is that I am old enough and mature. I'm old enough and mature enough. I'm going to learn fast. I'm going to bring a
Yep.
lot of skills that maybe some others don't or might take longer for them to develop. I'm
Hmm.
a hard worker. There was just a lot of transferable skills I did not know I had. And when you
It's
compare
amazing.
yourself to somebody who might not have been in the workforce quite as long as you, you realize I do have a lot to offer. I might feel really old sometimes, but I still have a lot to offer. And I have a lot of life to give
Yeah.
too. Done.
That is so true. You do have a lot to offer, and no matter what background you come from, no matter what new industry you might be stepping into. I think it's, again, we have to really be cognizant of perspective
Yeah.
because you never, first of all, I think for at least for me, it was a great lesson in humility. Like
Overall,
I
yeah.
was humbled, like
Uh,
hardcore. And I almost walked away because I was like, this feels awful. I don't like not knowing things.
man.
But I went, okay, then I'm going to learn as much as I humanly possibly can, as
Yeah.
fast as I can,
Yes.
because I don't like feeling this way. And so I think that was also like the push that I needed to kind of move on and just keep my head down and keep going. So it's a challenge. It's a challenge in so many ways, but we can't forget what we bring with us because again, there's so many skills, life skills. I mean, I always say if I could go back 20 years but have like the wisdom that I have now, that would just be great,
Be on
right?
fire. I'll be like teacher of the world.
That's right. I know it'd be so
Yeah.
awesome. But
Yeah.
alas,
No,
here we
you said that
are.
really well. I should have said humility. Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, really good call out because
Yeah.
that's humility is a big one. You definitely being knocked down several pegs, and not that people are trying to knock you down. You're just literally learning a new
Yeah.
concept.
Hmm.
But as you said, completely spot on. That is the fuel that fires how fast you want to, you're motivated. You're like, whoa, I do not
Absolutely.
like feeling like I'm at the bottom. I don't like this at all. I'm not a
Hmm.
baby. What I also felt was all these new colleagues that I have, wow,
Hmm.
the team is phenomenal, love them. They don't know, like they've only seen me in a situation of question asking or learning.
Yeah.
They've not seen where I feel confident and I'm on top and I'm the one people are going
Mm.
to. That's hard. And it's coming. It's coming. I mean,
Yeah.
but but in being in this situation of learning is really hard. And then like I said, I've had so many student teachers over the years, and I'm like, this is how they felt, like
Mm.
it's
That's so
humility
true.
was a good word. Thank you for using that.
Yes,
Yes.
of course.
So much
I
to learn.
only know it from, previous experience and being
Yes.
challenged myself. So, okay, so what would be the number one thing that you would suggest to somebody who's kind of in between and feeling like I need to move on to something different, but I'm scared? What's your number one piece of advice for them?
So I'm gonna try not to ramble.
No, you're good.
But because it took me a long time to just finally take the leap.
Hmm.
I know everyone's situation is different. I have an
Yep.
incredibly supportive husband and kids, and
Mm.
they all, I mean, frankly, it behooved them because they were like, "You're crazy, and we need you to not be crazy anymore."
Yeah.
They were like, "Yes, enroll in this course, stop teaching."
Right, please.
I realized everything. Yeah. Use your people, rely on your people. I mean, that's why I said everyone's
Mm.
situation is different. I don't know if you know who your people are. If you have people, I'll be your people. If you need people, I will call me. Um, Happy to support you and we'll talk through it, whatever you need. Talk to your people though. Make sure like just you need a sounding board. What are you feeling for me? What am I giving off to you? What do you think of this? Like, can we and map it out? Can you do this? Um, and sometimes we get stuck in those excuses. Oh, this isn't the right time. Oh, this isn't the right, and you just wait and you wait.
Hmm.
I would say if you've got even like a 65%, I think I can do this, just do it. It's just, if
That's
you've got
great.
people that are supporting you, just jump and do it. Just take a risk, especially, I don't mean to bring age into it again, but if you are, I will just say on this side of middle age, just try it. Just go,
Yeah.
you know, um, just go for it, I guess. And I maybe that's an extrovert's way of saying things. But I mean, if you're very unhappy, what do you have to lose? Go try it. And I promise you will find that you have more to offer than you think you do right now.
Yes, that was very well said and so true. Amazing. Thank you for coming on and sharing your transition in the workforce. So, since you offered, if somebody
Yeah.
wants to reach out to you and maybe just get some more advice, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah. I mean, do you want me to just like email phone number? I don't even care.
Just do your
If you
email.
want to put it in the notes or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. I'll just throw your email in the notes. There we go.
Yeah, their email, yeah, maybe not phone number, like that'll be weird. But yeah, absolutely. You can email me at any time, as I know Becca will put it in the notes. Happy to talk. But if you need people, if you need support, if you need more information, or just, hey, I'm still unclear, I am absolutely happy to walk you through it.
Amazing. And we know you're on LinkedIn because you worked on that profile. So,
Absolutely. I do. Hey, I follow because I'm a teacher. I followed directions. I was like, I'm a teacher. I made $7 a year, right? And so like if you make the commitment, I bought a program, I'm gonna follow that.
that's right. I will do it. Dang it. I
I
love
will
it.
do it. I will not waste it.
That's right. That's so true. That's awesome. I love your story. It's so inspiring to others. I so appreciate you. So thank you again for coming on. And you and I are up to something
Yep.
pretty exciting that at some point we'll be able to share to everyone, but excited to see kind of what the future holds. So thank you
Yes.
again.
Thank you for having me. We'll see you guys soon.